This video will cover the first time setup of a Pentair dynamic torque controller using the software provided on the USB. Warning: always disconnect the power source before working with electrical circuits. When performing any electrical work, always read and follow manufacturer's instructions and safety guidelines. And always make sure to follow your local electrical code and requirements. For this demo, we will be configuring the software for a 3-inch submersible pump. The pump has a 20 horsepower, 3-phase, 460 volt motor with a frequency of 60 Hz. It will be configured for an across-the-line start. The incoming power will be 3-phase, 460 volts at 60 Hz. With the unit properly wired, you are now ready to install the software and begin your first time setup. The first thing you will need to do is install the software found on the USB hard drive, which is located in the box with the controller, digital keypad, and other accessories. To start, plug the USB stick into the computer and then navigate to the drive. Double-click on the program file. An install guide will lead you through the install process. Once you have the software installed and running on the computer, you can connect the computer to the keypad using the connection cable provided. With the keypad connected and the software running, we now need to tell the software to communicate with the device. To do this, click on the communication menu on the top of the page, and then click on the word Serial Connect. You will be prompted to enter in a user ID and password. Once filled out, press Enter and the program will connect with the keypad and the controller. Once it connects, you will see the red offline wording go away, and you will be asked to fill out information about this particular setup. The more detailed information you provide here, the easier it will be to identify this unit in the future. Once you have filled out all items, click on the word OK. Now we are ready to begin the guided commissioning. Before we begin, it is important to remember that this unit can be highly customized to meet a number of different needs and situations. This guided commissioning will provide the most basic information to get the controller working. Start by clicking on the guided commissioning button in the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Now you will need to select the product type from the drop-down. For this example, we are utilizing an across-the-line start. After selecting across the line, then click on the word Next located in the bottom right-hand side of the page. Then, when prompted, click on OK and then OK again to advance. Next, you will arrive at the current values. On the top row, you will find the overcurrent and undercurrent alarms or trip functions. If you wish to enable these, you can click in the Enable checkbox, and then select the action type and set the different parameters. Please consult the manual for more information about these alarms. On the bottom row, you will need to verify or change the CT type on the left-hand side. Lastly, you will need to enter in the motor rated amps. You can find this on the motor nameplate. Once entered, click on the word Next on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, and then click OK to continue. Then you will arrive at the motor voltage setup. As before, the top two rows are optional alarms and trip functions that you may wish to configure. For our example, however, we will just focus on entering the motor rated voltage, which again can be found on the motor nameplate. Once this value is entered, you can click on the word Next on the bottom of the page and then click OK to continue. Next will be the motor frequency, and the frequency alarm and trip section. Again, if you wish to fine-tune the Pentair Dynamic Torque Controller module, you can do so, but for the initial commissioning, we are just going to ensure that we have our test unit set up properly to the frequency of 60 Hz. With 60 Hz selected, you can click on the word Next and then click OK to continue. The next page continues to provide options to configure the controller to your unique situation. As with the alarm section, you have options to change these at a later date if you decide to do so. Again, for this initial setup, we will bypass the phase loss and current imbalance page. We will click Next and then OK to continue. Here we have a chance to confirm the controller's digital inputs. Once confirmed, click on the word Next and then OK to continue to the digital output assignment. When you get to the digital outputs, if you are running with a VFD or an across the line, then you want to make sure the output assignment for OP5 is checked in the cleaning box as it is shown in this example. Note, if you are running with a soft start, then you need to make sure that the OP5 assignment has the soft start checked. Once confirmed, click Next and then click OK. This will bring you to the CT orientation, voltage, and current checks. To start the orientation check, click on the word Run. At this point, the pump should begin to run. If everything is configured properly, then at the top of the page, the L1, L2, and L3 should remain green. If there is something configured incorrectly, then one of the lights will turn to red. You should also use a meter to test voltage across L1, L2, and L3, and enter these values into the space provided on the lower left-hand side of the page. You will then need to use a clamp-on amp meter to measure amps for L1, L2, and L3. And then enter these values on the lower right-hand side of the page. The values from your clamp-on amp meter should match up closely with the amp values listed. Once you have completed all tests and entered all values, you can click on the word Next at the bottom of the page and then click OK. Now you will arrive at the anti-clogging menu options. As we have discussed before, there are a number of opportunities to configure your controller to meet your specific needs. As you review this page, you will see that across the top there are different menu options that you can review and explore. For this training, we will only focus on the first tab, which is the Auto Configure tab. Please consult the manual for more detailed setups. On the right, you have the anti-clogging timings. The first value is the startup delay, or how long you want the pump to run with a potential clog before the Pentair Dynamic Torque Controller module begins a cleaning cycle. The next value tells the controller how to best try to handle a clogging situation. The frequency and types of clogging your pumps encounter will determine how long or how many cleaning cycles you want your pump to perform before attempting to resume normal operation. For this video, we will select 10 seconds for most values while keeping the number of cleaning cycles at 1. Once you have these parameters entered, you are ready to configure the Pentair Dynamic Torque Controller module. As a reminder, this test needs to be completed with clean water so the pump can be recorded at its optimum efficiency. To configure a fixed speed pump, we will need to click on the Configure button listed below Fixed Speed, and then click OK on any prompts that appear. Once we reach the test page, you can start the test by clicking on the Start Sampling button at the bottom right of the page. Once you have started sampling, you can then click on the Start Motor button. You will now see the graph begin to populate as the controller begins to learn the motor profile of your pump. As the test continues, you may notice that some of the dots are falling way outside of the average range, and we will need to make sure we clean these up. To do so, click on the Remove Noise button located on the bottom of the page, and the outliers should be removed from the screen. Once you have a good tight range, you can click on the Stop Sampling and Stop Motor button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. As you look on the lower left-hand side of the page, you will now see that the highest current and lowest currents are being recorded. We are now ready to add our set points. Remember, the controller is looking for the pump to run at a certain level of performance and will activate a cleaning cycle when the pump runs outside of the parameters you select. For this example, we will set our parameters at 1 amp above and 1 amp below our average value. Type in the high set point and then click on the Set SP button. You will see a line appear on the graph. Then, type in the low set point and click on the Set SP button, and you will see the bottom line established on the graph. With the baseline set, the controller now knows when to trigger a cleaning cycle. Now click on Save Profile, and then click OK. Then click on the word Exit at the bottom of the screen and click Yes, you are sure. Finally, you need to make sure that you click on the checkbox that says Real-Time Anti-Clogging Enabled. With the Real-Time Anti-Clogging enabled, you can click on the word Next at the bottom of the page and then click OK. The last page is where you can save a configuration that you just completed. You can enter a project number, test date, and then place check marks in the commissioning checklist. This step is key to tracking all of your configurations that were made during a session. Once filled out, click on the word Next. From here, you can save this configuration to your hard drive. You can click on the word Next at the bottom of the page. Once saved, you can always revert to the DRG file to make changes or adjustments. After saving, exit out of any prompts that remain, and you will have completed the configuration of the Pentair Dynamic Torque Controller module. Thank you, and have a great day.